of a change of leadership at 8 p.m. Central Time at a team meeting. 5 minutes before, an email went out to the entire basketball staff at North Carolina that Hubert Davis had been let go.
It's a tough gig. I was doing the math, quick math. Was I wrong? Did I miss a number? Did he average 25 wins in his 5 seasons?
125 wins, 54 losses. Played for a national championship.
It's a tough crowd.
Very tough crowd. 55 years old. He took over in 2021 after Roy Williams retired. He was handpicked by Roy Williams to be his successor. He led the Tar Heels to an improbable run to the national title game in his very first season. But North Carolina has won just 2 NCAA tournament games in the last 4 years. North Carolina snuck in the tournament a year ago. If you remember, a lot of hand-wringing with that because they had one quad one win. They were 1-12 in quad one games, but they made the NCAA tournament. A lot of criticism about that. They won a first 4 game. But then when you blow a 19-point lead late in the second half to VCU, a good team, but still a 19-point lead, and you lose in the NCAA tournament, changes are going to be made. One of the things that Scott will tell us probably in about 10 minutes is that them retaining Hubert Davis, that was probably going to be the bigger issue. You already had big money people saying, all right, look, if we're going to go down this road again, I just don't know how liberal my checkbook's going to be.
And I can certainly see that, especially if you're not 100% sold on he's your guy for the future. It's interesting.
How many times have we seen it in football, Landrum, in the SEC, with guys on the hot seat?
Yeah.
Where you've got somebody that's writing a lot of checks, a lot of zeros on the ends of those checks, and they basically say, look, if you're bringing Landrum Roberts back and we're a 500 football team, you know what? I might can spend my money on the golf team.
Well, it happened in one instance I can think with the Auburn coaching search and Gus Malzahn. And there was the threat that he was going to go to Arkansas.
Remember that. Yep.
And you had a couple of donors behind the scenes that said, I don't feel comfortable writing that check. I will continue to contribute. I'm not going to pay that buyout when you have to pay it. Inevitably, that's what happened. But yeah, Carolina, there's that standard. But now you average 25 wins a season. Is there someone? And it has to be. It can't be the rest of the ACC and their success, because the ACC, we've seen what's happened to that league, not only in basketball, but pretty much across the board. But when you look at Duke across the way and what Duke continues to do, and I know they're Duke, but you know that rivalry, and a lot of that's got to be reactionary. What is our rival doing? Well, our rival is continuing to get to the Final Four, to compete for championships. What are we doing?
Later in the program, we'll talk to Rocco Miller. He works for Field of 68. He also, obviously, is our resident bracketologist. We had already booked him to be on the show today to discuss the Sweet 16, but obviously the guys at Field of 68, Jeff Goodman, he is the person that has founded Field of 68, and you can see him almost on a daily basis doing podcasts. This was late last night. This is what Goodman had to say on the Field of 68 podcast about Nate Oates.
Let's talk about Nate Oates at Alabama, who I don't think fits at Carolina. You know, I just think there's been too many things, even recently with Aiden Holloway. You had the Brandon Miller thing a few years ago. Whether it was Nate's fault or not, I just think too many things have happened, and he's got a high buyout as well.
And that is true. Before April 1st, it's an $18 million buyout. After April 1st through March 31st of 2027, you got to pay Alabama $10 million for Nate Oates to leave, and then it will go down the year after that to $4 million. So it's a hefty buyout, because when you look at Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, that's an $11 million buyout right now. Dusty Mays is $7.5 million. TJ Otzelberger there at Iowa State, that's $4 million. We don't know about Byington because that's a private school, so his contract is held close to the vest, so you don't know there. They keep talking about Billy Donovan with the Bulls. He's making $10 million a year. Does Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Bulls, who also owns the White Sox, would he be okay with letting him walk away from a contract if he wanted to get back to college? You got Brad Stevens, whose name continues to be bannered back and forth a multitude of times that there's a job opening, but he's given no indication that he wants to get back in it. He's the vice president of the Boston Celtics, making a good living. Not a lot of pressure, not on this day of age of transfer portal and NIL. I doubt very seriously he would want to do it. But Goodman, during that podcast, he said that he was texting with Billy Donovan yesterday, and he was giving very strong indications, not Billy to Goodman, but just the fact that people around Billy Donovan are telling him, if you want to get back in it, because you've been now in the NBA for 10 years, if you want to get back in it, here's your shot. This is the one. That everyone would be in alignment bringing Billy Donovan from the Chicago Bulls. Now, whether he wants to do it or not, Goodman did not give the indication, but he did say that the people around Billy Donovan are urging him to take a long, hard look and take that consideration seriously in Chapel Hill.
Well, the game's changed, and that would be one of those jobs. If I was Billy Donovan, thinking I've been in the NBA for 10+ seasons, it's one of the ones that I certainly look at. Going back to the buyout of Nate Oates, if you are an Alabama fan and you're worried about Carolina coming and wooing him away, that buyout, think about that buyout compared in terms of what we get with college football coaches' buyouts these days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you fire them, you're going to owe them a bulk of the money, if not all of the money. But if the coach decides to leave for another job, sometimes, what was James Franklin's? $2 million?
Yeah, it was.
Eli Drinkowitz, $1 million.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Very one-sided. So for Nate Oates to have $11+ million, or what is his buyout? It's above that before that date. That almost seems like that's untouchable these days.
No, you're right.
In college athletics, just because of revenue.
Our three-man front Twitter poll question of the day, we asked the audience, does Nate Oates return to Alabama for the 2026-27 season? Already we've gotten a healthy group of votes. 78% of our audience says he is back in Tuscaloosa for this upcoming season.
How many of these donors, and I know basketball is different, but how many of these donors, they bought in, they drank the Kool-Aid with Bill Belichick? We're going to get the GOAT. We're going to get the GOAT. Oh, yeah. This is what we're going to have to do. Hey, put your money where your mouth is. Write that check. We're going to bring in Lombardi. We're going to have it rocking and rolling, and it's been an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, it has. And it was funny because you remember yesterday I mentioned the fact that people told me that nothing on the basketball front would happen during the day because it was the start of spring football. And Bill Belichick, they did not want to upstage Bill Belichick, so they waited till 9 o'clock Eastern time to break the news to Hubert Davis.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah. So they held.
I think his girlfriend's been doing that quite well for the last, 1.5 seasons.
I mean, the world that we live in now where North Carolina basketball is taking backseat to North Carolina football on making heavy decisions or to let the fan base know what the heck's going on, that just tells you weird world we live in now.
Hubert's probably a good time for you to go.
Hubert Davis did release a statement last night. And listen, he's a first-class individual.
Yep.
And his statement read tonight, I was let go by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. My desire was to continue to coach here. This opportunity has truly been a blessing. I thank Jesus literally every day for giving me the opportunity, relationships, and experiences with the kids and my staff. I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish together. My goal is to coach again in the very near future. You think Duke brings him on as like an assistant coach?
Yeah.
Like for the
Yes.
like bring him on now. Like Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4. University of North Carolina graduate, Hubert Davis. Oh my goodness. All right. Scott Hamilton will join the program. We'll get the very latest. And if Nate Oates Big story in sports last night in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Hubert Davis, one of their own, was shown the door. Almost like when Mike Shula was shown the door.
It happens way too often, Pat.
It does.
I hate to see this. Relationships destroyed.
Especially with good alums.
That's right.
That can write checks.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Carolinas. Good friend of ours, Scott Hamilton, longtime columnist in the Carolinas. Also, you can hear him on 107.5 FM in Columbia, South Carolina. Many stations around the Carolinas carry Scott's program, and he's now part of the Cumulus family. So we appreciate Scott taking some time out to talk about what's going on there in Chapel Hill. Scott, I hope you're doing well on this day.
I'm doing well. I'm just trying to keep up with everything. This is pretty wild, man. And I know y'all are down there in Alabama, and it might or might not touch the Crimson Tide program directly, but I think, and I've said this, I think every division, just about, I'm not going to say every, I think just about every Division I program in America will be impacted by what happened in Chapel Hill last night, one way or another.
For sure. I know how we look at the Carolina job, how we hold that job in prestige when it comes to college basketball. Scott, the North Carolina fans, Hubert Davis, where did the rub begin? Was it just all about wins, or were there other things that we're not being let known that have not come to the surface yet?
I think that's it. But I've been thinking about it, and I might not go down the path y'all expected to go down, but I've been thinking about it. I think this is part of the inevitable modernization of UNC's athletic department. The more I sit back and think about it, this coaching change was inevitable. They had to break away from the coaching tree of Dean Smith because there's nobody beyond Hubert Davis. It's almost like a thanks for your service medal. They gave him the job. He did it for 5 years, and now, okay, it's time to move on, and we have a good reason to do it because you blew a 19-point lead Virginia Commonwealth in the opener. But I think this is part of something bigger. Bubba Cunningham's the athletic director now, but he's going away in a few months. And the new guy coming in, he is the prototypical 21st century athletic director, Steve Newmark. He's got a background in marketing and developing different revenue streams. He'd worked for NASCAR. And we've seen that template before. We see it with Jeremiah Donati at South Carolina. We see it at a larger level with Brett Yormark at the Big 12. And I truly believe that this is part of something bigger than just making a coaching change, especially when you consider there's basically a civil war right now in Chapel Hill over the future of the Dean Dome. Do they spend hundreds of millions of dollars renovating it and putting in luxury suites and keeping it on campus as Dean Smith wished? Or do they develop this parcel of land they're calling Carolina North just on the outskirts of Chapel Hill, and they build this multi-purpose facility that bring just buku dollars to that entire community and significant revenue streams to the university as well? There's a lot going on, and it's more than just a coaching change.
All right, so let's talk about the coaching change because as you and I have been in communication, I know you started communicating with me last week that even before the throw-up job against VCU, that you had heard from some people that Hubert Davis was on shaky ground. And, of course, the VCU game happened, and then all bets were off. But I want to ask you about what the Vegas odds makers are saying at this moment. You got Billy Donovan, who is number one, according to Las Vegas, as the next North Carolina head coach. TJ Otzelberger, who is an outstanding coach there at Iowa State. Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. And then Nate Oates comes in with the fourth best odds at 8-1 to be the next North Carolina head coach. Let's start with the top. Billy Donovan, what are you hearing on that? Could he be wrestled out of Chicago, Illinois, and leave a $10 million a year deal with the Bulls to come back to college?
I'm going to cite my buddy Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 for Billy Donovan because he's put it out there that Billy Donovan does have that monster contract, but he's being advised to explore this job at Chapel Hill to get out of Chicago. So you can make of that of what you will. But here's what I'm wondering, looking at the rest of that list. Tommy Lloyd's at Arizona. That guy, that reads contract extension has written all over it, that he'll get a contract extension out of this because they've got some resources at Arizona. Otzelberger, I mean, he would be the guy I would hire, and I don't think Iowa State could afford to keep him. And Nate Oates, I don't think Nate Oates is serious contention. I truly don't. Everything that's happened around the program, for as much as UNC wants to modernize things, they also have this foo-foo-y attitude of holier than thou. And I can't see them taking a guy who brought in a player from the G League and tried to polish it as him getting his degree, or having a guy getting picked up for 2 pounds of pot, or a former player who might be going to the joint for murder. I just don't see them doing that.
Scott Hamilton joining us here on Three Man Front, talking about Hubert Davis, his firing at North Carolina yesterday evening. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham hotline. We look at that job, you take a Nate Oates, or if you want to go Lloyd there at Arizona, some of these high-profile guys, Hurley at UConn, UNC basketball, given all of that, what we think about that job, the scope of college athletics, revenue, salaries, it's changed. It's not just UNC, Duke, and everybody else. So why would a Nate? What does UNC have to offer some of these high-profile coaches that they don't already have, Scott?
That's a wonderful, wonderful question, and that's something I've been kicking around. I don't think it's the best job. I mean, you have to look at it almost through 2 sets of lenses. Guys like us, this was a destination job. It's somewhere you went. I mean, they've only had what? They had 2 coaches over a 45-year span, McGuire and Dean Smith, and then they had Doherty, and then they had Roy come in. So, I mean, they've only had a few coaches in the last 100 years or so. It's the Jumpman logo. It's Michael Jordan. It's James Worthy. It's all that. But you look at it now in the 21st century, and to your point, how they're still elite. Make no mistake about it. That program is still elite, but the gap between elite and everybody else right now isn't as wide as you think. It's truly not. You can look at the field of 16 right now in the men's basketball tournament and how many blue bloods are in there. Well, North Carolina is not in there. Kansas is not in there. Kentucky's not in. I mean, we have to reshape our minds as to what is a blue blood. And more schools are putting resources into basketball. So why leave a good job? And Alabama, we'll use it as an example. Why leave an Alabama to go somewhere like North Carolina unless it's a personal thing? Because you grew up and that was one of the gold standards in the sport, and this is a lifetime opportunity. Other than that, you don't leave a good job, especially in Alabama, where you can kind of, cook in the shadow of football, and they pretty much leave you alone. And, oh, by the way, you're still getting SEC football money. That's a big thing to consider.
Yeah, and to your point, you got a team that participated in the Final Four that didn't make the NCAA tournament in Auburn last year. You got a national champion from the 2020-2021 season and the Baylor Bears that did not make the tournament. So, yeah, just be careful before you throw the baby out with the bathwater, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you got Nebraska. Molly, she's still popping corks over Nebraska being good at basketball now.
Yes. It's been like a 3-day hangover since that's happened.
This has been the best week, literally, of my entire life.
That's okay. We'll work on that later.
Little life coaching.
But,
yeah, there you go.
Little life coaching. But the point is this, that for all the things that we saw Indiana do, it's more doable in basketball, man. Think about the Iowa Hawkeyes. They had 5 guys from Drake, and the guy that made the game winner was from Robert Morris. It's easier to identify parts and to elevate your entire program. Brad Brownell at Clemson is a wonderful example, and I think I've mentioned it before. It's no coincidence that the greatest 4-year period in Clemson basketball history and the greatest 4-year period in the long career of Brad Brownell have coincided with the advent of the transfer portal and NIL. And you don't always have to go out hunting for great whites. You don't have to go out and big game hunt and bring in some superstar from a P5 school, P4 school. You can go out and identify guys who fit your system, fit your culture, and go out and win basketball games. And that's what we're seeing more of. Now, the elite guys are still going to have an advantage because there are only so many 6'9" guys who can run the floor. But you can go out and get things that work for what you do and be successful nevertheless.
It's interesting, Scott, because I see what's going on with the North Carolina basketball job, and I witnessed and I lived this on a daily basis for a very long time with Alabama football. It had to be somebody that either played for Bear Bryant or somebody that had played at the University of Alabama. And that's almost like what North Carolina is trying to do right now with their basketball coaching job. And I think now's the point that they're going to have to jump off just like Alabama did when they hired a guy named Nick Saban. Like, you're going to have to go out there and find the best guy for the job that understands what this new NIL transfer portal world we live in, and they can be successful because you just laid out some outstanding examples of programs that are doing that without really big name guys like a Tommy Lloyd or a Dusty May or a Nate Oates.
Well, and you know what? That's a perfect example because Hubert Davis is their Ray Perkins. Okay?
Yeah.
He's their
point.
Ray Perkins.
Yeah.
But they better hope they do better than Bill Curry because there ain't no Gene Stallings out there with a Carolina pedigree ready to step up. You see what I'm saying? Who can come in and save the day? Because that person does not exist. That person does not exist. They're going to go outside the family the way Alabama went outside the family and got Bill Curry, but they've got to do better because there's no next man up after that to come in.
Do you believe that within the ranks of the Carolina folks that stroke the checks and make the decisions that ultimately Billy Donovan is that great white there at the top, and then maybe it's Otzelberger and everybody else?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm hesitant to. I don't know how these people think anymore. They hired Bill Belichick, for goodness sake. I've seen tweets about bringing Phil Jackson. Maybe they go get Phil Jackson to come in and save the day. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I hesitate to ask, is Pat Riley still around?
Well, Pat Riley. Oh, Pat Riley, Kentucky guy.
He's a
they might
Kentucky
need
guy,
if they
yeah.
decide to make a change.
Twist that
Pope.
knife, Scott.
But
you got to twist that knife.
I got to twist. I got beef
How about
with those
this?
guys,
How
but
about
we'll address that with Molly.
What if they go hire Johnny Dawkins at Central Florida?
Yes.
How about that?
What a move that, and that's another thing though. You touched on something there because the transition from legend to protege has gone so seamlessly 8 miles down the road
Yeah.
in Durham. Think about it. And now here they are in disarray. But I think, again, it goes back to my larger point we started this segment with. It's part of something bigger going on at North Carolina. They're trying to get away from that wine and cheese mentality and be more diverse and more robust. And you do it by breaking away from tradition and breaking away from this coaching tree that they've leaned on, the Carolina way and all that, for the last 70 years or so.
Now, to your point, that Krajewski guy at Duke, I think he was holding that program back.
Krzyzewski.
That's
You learn
good.
to spell that quick.
That is good.
When you're first coach I ever interviewed, hand to God, I was terrified, and he knew it. He knew it. He smelled blood.
No.
Well, that's like us down here. Tagovailoa, we were able to spell that and say it.
I don't know.
Quickly.
I don't know if you put a gun to my head right now. I don't know if I could spell it. But do Krzyzewski again, Scott.
Krzyzewski.
Impressed.
Yeah. You know who taught me how to say Tagovailoa? I can't say it now. Eli Gold taught me
Did
how
he?
to say it. Yeah, and he was laughing the whole time. Then he got a little frustrated because I just couldn't get it for a while.
No.
That is Scott Hamilton, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, South Carolina. Also, you can read his work all over the Carolinas. Scott, always appreciate your time. At least you got some content to deal with up there for the next couple
I
of
got
days
plenty
and
of
weeks.
content. Well, I got plenty of content, and I got some homework with Molly. I'll be sending over some
Yes.
some advice.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you. I need it.
yeah, some life lessons. All right, Scott,
All right.
have a good day, man. We'll
Have
talk to
fun
you
with
soon.
the search. They're fun.
Yeah, they're great.
All right, brother. See
ya.
y'all.
See ya. That is Scott Hamilton joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, giving us the very latest on Hubert Davis and who could be potentially next at the University of North Carolina. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com's Brian Edwards. Almost said Brad Edwards. Brad would be good, too.
Yeah, it would be good to catch up with Brad.
Yeah, Brad's.
I saw him not too long ago.
Yeah. Brian Edwards will join us at 10:45.
And also some big college basketball news with a local tie. We'll tell you what it is next on Three Man Front. Great visit, Scott Hamilton, getting the latest on the North Carolina basketball search as Hubert Davis was fired yesterday evening. Little local news. Butler has hired former Bulldogs player and Homewood High School standout Ronald Norrid to succeed Thad Matta as the head coach. School announced Wednesday. So congratulations to Ronald Norrid, who knows that program well, graduating in 2012.
Well, flu season is still hanging around and pollen season is here, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles that cause allergy and virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters, so go and find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
We did not ask Scott about a situation that keep your eye on at North Carolina State. We've heard rumors all year long that Will Wade would love the opportunity, perhaps, if it were to come open, the LSU men's basketball job. That job is not open currently, but there is a report this morning by On3 that LSU is targeting McNeese State AD Heath Schroyer to come on board at LSU as a senior AD. The idea is that he would kind of be over the basketball program. So you're looking to hire the current athletics director at McNeese, who hired Will Wade as the head coach at McNeese a couple of years ago. So LSU is trying to get him to come to Baton Rouge as an assistant AD. So I'm just curious if this is kind of the calm before the storm. You get him in place, then you make the move, fire your current men's basketball coach, and then you go to Raleigh and bring back Will Wade. I'm just putting pieces together. I mean, this seems like a no-brainer to me.
Thicker than thieves down there in Louisiana.
I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but my goodness gracious, this is pretty.
Well, what'll tip us off is when they name a general manager of basketball from VCU. That's when we'll know, Pat.
Yeah.
That it's definitely the table is being set for Will Wade.
I know a lot of people consumed a lot of basketball this weekend, but I want to take you back to the post-game press conference. This is what got everybody in North Carolina. Yeah, the 19-point lead that you blew and then you lost in overtime to VCU, that was a problem. But take a listen to this little montage of Hubert Davis after the loss. This was not edited to make him sound weird and funny. This is the way it actually sounded.
Got a little bit tired there?
I did not. I didn't.
Hubert, why did you go to just a 6-man rotation in the second half?
Because that was my decision.
Coach, what do you think went wrong?
What do you mean?
Hubert, the free throws again, as you mentioned, a little bit of an issue tonight. Why do you think that was such an issue for your team throughout the season?
That's a great question. I mean, we work on them, and
if you're a North Carolina basketball fan,
yeah, that doesn't instill a whole lot of confidence moving forward. But I just wonder, hearing that, did Hubert Davis have a pretty good idea that he was about to be fired, or was he led on, kind of reading the room by someone within that athletic department that better make a deep run because they're ready to make a move?
And the way that Davis handled things last night, because obviously North Carolina wanted him to resign, because if you resign, then you probably don't have to pay him the $5.3 million.
Yeah.
So that's why he was firm, and that's why he released the statement. He wanted to coach. He was not resigning. I had heard yesterday that perhaps he was going to change his whole staff. You know, it was kind of a Hail Mary type deal. Like, I'm still going to be the head coach, but obviously I'm going to have to kind of clean the ranks out a little bit and bring some new blood in if I want this job to continue on. But his agency probably told him, no circumstance whatsoever. No matter how much that Bubba Cunningham pisses you off in this meeting, you cannot quit. Make them fire you. Because when they fire you, they're going to owe you every red cent on that contract. So I know that you want to do what's right for the university and you don't want to take your alma mater through the mud hole, but I'm telling you, as your agent, you have to take the medicine and walk away with your $5.3 million. And that's exactly because it was interesting because when Bubba Cunningham released their statement about the change at the University of North Carolina, it was not anything about him being terminated. So there was a little gray area there.
Decided to part ways, wasn't it? That
Yeah, so it was almost
described?
like it was a reciprocal type situation, and it wasn't. And that's why immediately Hubert sent out his statement that he did, saying, I wanted to coach. I wanted to continue coaching. I'm going to coach again. And so.
Plus, you're letting the Carolina fans know and the rest of the college basketball world that, no, this was not mutual and that there's probably some resentment and some hurt feelings.
Mm-hmm. So he will
95% of the time. That's just I'm throwing a rough number out there. 95% of the time, it's not going to work out with the guy that you bring back.
It's typically the way it works.
I hope that's not the case for Ronald Norrid, but who just got named at Butler.
Well, just get yourself a nice contract or two, and then you're set.
Yeah.
He's been an assistant coach in the NBA. I'm sure he's
going to be fine.
He's done fine.
And North Carolina basketball will be fine. They're running out of North Carolina folks, though.
Scott Strickland was very quick to go on social media last night. He was asked to give a statement to Gators Online because the Todd Golden rumors. Would Todd Golden be interested in heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina?
Strickland sounds like a nervous boyfriend here.
He says, Todd wants to be at the University of Florida. I wish all of those programs really good luck. Todd's going to be here a very long time. End of quote.
She's going to be with me.
She ain't going nowhere.
She knows who takes care of her.
Yep. Golden has a $16 million buyout currently, but it will drop in a couple weeks to $11 million. That's chump change.
That's a big hurdle.
But man, Dusty May, $7.5 million at Michigan.
That's not bad.
No. Otzelberger's got the $4 million buyout names.
Hurley's got to be a ridiculous.
Yeah, I also noticed yesterday that Connecticut announced that they are redoing like a bunch of the basketball facilities for the players. I saw a bunch of artist renderings, which they were good anyway, obviously. Yeah. But, yeah, I think they're trying to do everything they can to make it more pleasing to Mr. Hurley.
To Danny.
Yeah.
Danny.
Mm-hmm. Coming up next on Three Man Front, we'll ask our next guest if his alma mater, the University of Florida, will be looking for a men's basketball coach.
And is Alabama the big play on Friday?
Yes. That's a bigger question for us to make money.
Yes.
Brian Edwards joins us next. It is 10:46 here on this Wednesday. We will talk to the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart, coming up at the top of the hour, brought to you by Crane Works, as the Alabama Crimson Tide, they get ready to head to Chicago, Illinois, to take on the 1 seed, the Michigan Wolverines. Also coming up next hour, Rocco Miller from Field of 68, also our resident bracketologist, bracketeer.org. He will join the program and get his thoughts on the Sweet 16 and what's going on at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Joining us now, as he does each and every Wednesday, from MajorWager.com. Also, you can find his work at Vegas Insider and also Southeastern 16. Man, he's got more jobs. Me and you need to pick up a couple more jobs based on Brian's history here.
Iowa.
Oh, man.
Iowa.
Is that what we're starting with?
Iowa.
I figured.
I guess Landry wants to go Iowa against Nebraska.
I'm pouncing early. Iowa.
Actually, no, I'm with Molly. I'm with Go Big GBR on this one.
Are you really?
I am. I don't really believe in letdowns in the NCAA tournament, but if there's ever such a situation that would fit that criteria, it's probably this one. And I've got a stat for you. Since the 2003 NCAA tournament, teams off an outright win as a double-digit underdog in the Sweet 16 or beyond are 0-6 straight up and 1-5 against the spread. But no, that didn't really have anything to do with it. I just think that Nebraska is the better team. Now, I didn't watch when Nebraska lost 57-52 at Iowa, but I bet on Nebraska when they played Iowa at home. And Nebraska was in control of that game the whole way. And I had them, I don't know, I want to say -4, 4.5, or 5. And Iowa just went on a late run in the last 2 or 3 minutes and forced overtime. And I got fortunate to cover as they won by 9 in OT. But I felt like Nebraska was the better team that whole game, albeit at home. But man, that crowd that they brought to OKC was such an enormous factor last week, and I have no doubt it'll be the same thing in Houston. And I like Nebraska. I mean, I'm okay with laying 1.5, but I did -130 money line.
Brian, the whole reason I brought up Iowa was not for the next game. I think Go Big Red wins that game. It was just the fact that
I tried to shift it.
Yeah, your Gators, your Gators losing to Iowa.
Oh my gosh, that is sick.
Just
man.
a bracket buster.
What is wrong with those people?
What was the downfall of this Gator team?
Coaching.
Besides Iowa,
coaching.
We didn't play well. And then look, I think Golden's a master tactician, but obviously when you let Sturks catch the ball on the run and right as he takes a dribble, there's 3 Gator defenders trailing him. I mean, what are we doing pressing up like that with 8.5 seconds left and 2-point lead? I mean, I forgive him because he's done so many great things, but that was wild. I didn't understand that. And
what was that baloney at the end with 4.5 left, and they ran the court, and then you tried the handoff to big guy.
Yeah, you let a Princeton guy. You let a Princeton guy try to take it the length of the court.
Just an embarrassment to the conference.
It is. I mean, they're supposed to be carrying the flag of the SEC, and here they are. They lose to Iowa.
Thank the good Lord you got some wrong, because the rest of that program is just bleh.
That's right.
You got swept over the weekend at Tuscaloosa in baseball. Baseball programs in shambles.
Oh, I mean,
got no hit Friday night by Alabama.
No hit.
My gosh.
Aluminum bats.
Hey, I don't even count our World Series toward my ring count. So that's how much I care about baseball.
Hey,
it's not even a part of my ring count.
Well, it's like this. If Brian does not bet money on it, it's not a sport.
It's not a sport.
So he doesn't play baseball.
That's right.
So that's why it's not part of his ring count.
Yeah.
That's why. All right, let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about this Alabama game against Michigan. Michigan is a huge favorite, and I think the point total is 171.5. I know I've seen some of your writings at MajorWager.com. I know you like Bama historically in the over on these point totals, but just give us some thoughts or two on the Michigan-Alabama game and the line.
Yeah, so it was 171.5 at the open. It's 174.5 now.
Okay.
Had I not been in my feelings Sunday night and on top of my game, I would have grabbed over 171.5 at open. But now that it's 174.5, that's just, I don't know, it's just feeling a little rich to me. And now I will point out some stats to you. Bama's team total is 82.5. They have scored 83 or more in 28 of 34 games. However, Michigan has only allowed 83 or more 4 times I didn't write down how many games they've played. I want to say it's 36 if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow, right now this game's a pass for me. Maybe look, if both teams get off to slow starts offensively and the live total gets down in the 160s, I'd probably consider it over. I mean, you're right, Pat. I'm normally looking to Bama and either the over or a Bama team total over, but right now I don't know. I'm a little gun shy on this one.
I just look at their point totals against another physical team that I would liken less talented, but I would say Tennessee as far as body types, physical play.
Yep.
And if I can remember correctly, Alabama, did they score 80 points or more in either one of those?
No.
I know they didn't in Tuscaloosa.
No. Matter of fact, it was the first time I think they scored over 73 points when they beat Tennessee up in Knoxville.
Yeah, 71-69, that final.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's a good comp, Tennessee to Michigan. I mean, not as formidable, but as defensive-minded. So there it is. Now, I will point out that first Tennessee game, though, you guys are missing. Well, you're going to be missing Holloway again, but Amari Allen was also out.
Yes.
But
they did have Charles Bediako.
Yes, don't forget about Bediako. They had him.
Yeah, Alabama had
Bediako. That was true.
Yeah, for that game.
We'll wait to see if the courts make a ruling on Bediako before Friday night's game.
Waiting for an injunction.
Never know what's going to happen there. We're kidding, of course. Maybe we're not. I don't know. All right, let's talk about Arizona. Team total over 86 and a half. I can't read today. Or 87 points against Arkansas. We like Arkansas here. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to make it to the Final Four, but we really like, obviously, Acuff and the rest of these guys. I think Calipari's got them playing good, but what do you like here on Arizona and Arkansas?
I like Arizona's team total over 86.5. I'm not against the over of 166. I don't know if you guys can get a player prop market, but Darius Acuff out in Vegas, is player prop is 23.5 or 24. He's scored at least 24 in 6 straight games. He's scored at least 24 in 14 of their last 24. And in the last 12 games, he's averaging 28.8 points per game. So I like the Acuff prop to go over, and I'm not against either. I like Arizona's team total over the most, but I'm not against anything over, even Arkansas's team total. I believe it's 79 or 79 and a half. They've scored 82 or more 29 times in 36 games. But Arizona's only given up 80 plus in 6 games. So it's kind of like Alabama with Michigan, but I'm not against the Arkansas team total over as well.
There at the United Center, you got Alabama, Michigan, also Tennessee and Iowa State a part of that venue. Who do you like in that one?
I think this is my favorite game of the Sweet 16. I like Iowa State a lot. I just don't trust Tennessee's offense once we get to the Sweet 16 and beyond. I thought they got a good draw last week. Virginia is a 3 seed. I know they had a good record and good resume, but I mean, the ACC is just so weak. And so I thought Tennessee got a good draw last week, but now they got to face Iowa State. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have Jefferson, but they looked fantastic without him last week. And I think Iowa State's playing good ball, like Iowa State minus 4 or 4.5.
All right, quickly, UConn and Michigan State. Who you like there?
Kind of like Tennessee, I just don't trust Sparty offensively once we get this far. And look, Danny Hurley, 15-1 record in the last 16 NCAA tournament games, and they blew a late lead against Florida in the only loss. Alex Caravan's playing great. I like UConn minus 130 on the money line or minus 1.5.
All right, so you also lean St. John's, correct?
I do, but I might be patient, see if the number gets bigger, or hope Duke gets an early lead and take them live at a better number. But I lean St. John's for sure.
That is Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com, also Southeastern 16. Brian, have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you next Wednesday.
Iowa.
Thanks, all. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.